Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Tuesday edition of our show. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Hope your weeks are off to a strong, productive start. And appreciate each and every one of you stopping by to hear our thoughts on A's baseball. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. We've got a packed show for you. We are going to recap what went down this past series over the weekend down in Baltimore to cap a 6-game East Coast road trip. If you weren't aware at this point, the A's took care of business and won 2 out of 3. We'll break it down game by game, give you our thoughts as well as hand out our 3-star A's performers of the series. And then later at the tail end of the series in Game 3, unfortunately, shortstop Jacob Wilson sustained a left shoulder sprain. We are still awaiting the official word today at the time of recording to see what the timeline of recovery for Wilson will be. More than likely, he is headed to the injured list, so we'll discuss some potential replacements and what it may mean for the dynamic of the A's as they may be moving forward for quite some time, we feel, without Jacob Wilson. On a brighter note, Henry Bolte, we were made aware yesterday morning, is officially getting the call up. He has hammered his way at the AAA level, going 12 for 12 at one point, forcing his way to the big league club. Why he may be joining the team at the right time to provide an extra offensive spark and playing some defensive center field. This may be a mutually beneficial, perfect timing for Bolte and the A's. We'll discuss all of that. And then before getting on out of here and preparing for the A's back in action after yesterday's off day, we are going to provide you with a preview of their next opponent coming into town, into West Sacramento, as the A's are back at Sutter Health Park. They'll be welcoming in the St. Louis Cardinals in a 3-game series for a little bit of interleague action. The boys are in first place as we roll deeper into May. Let's keep the good times rolling. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you once again for tuning in to our Tuesday edition of our show, or whenever you're listening to this episode of A's Day. Appreciate you stopping by. Before jumping into today's episode, just want to give you a reminder of where you can find us outside of our podcast episodes that you can continue to enjoy on all of your favorite audio podcast platforms. Be sure to check out our content on our social media platforms on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball, and be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel for video editions of each of our episodes, as well as A's player interviews and other A's baseball content destination experiences that have and will continue to be posted. And to become an official subscriber of A's Day, be sure to check us out on our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day, for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we are able to grow this platform collaboratively. All right, let's jump right into the first topic at hand. Let's talk about the good times that were had down in Baltimore. A's, despite dropping the series in Philadelphia 2 out of 3, they did respond in a big way, avoiding the sweep, welcoming back new father Shea Langoliers as he homered in his first game back in a 12-1 victory on Thursday night in Philly. And at that point, they looked to continue to keep that momentum rolling from that game and start the weekend in Baltimore strong, as they kicked off a 3-game set last Friday night against the Orioles, as Game 1's pitching matchup would feature left-handed pitcher Jacob Lopez going up against Kyle Bradish. Each pitcher would pitch around some traffic and trade zeros through the first 3 frames in this one. We would have to move ahead to the 4th to get our first scoring of the game. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, would smash a solo home run to right center to give the Orioles a 1-0 lead. In the fifth, however, the A's would have an immediate answer. Zach Geloff would deliver an RBI single to tie the game before Nick Kurtz, the Big Amish, would rip a 2-run triple. That's right, a triple run, Amish run. His dad was loving it in the crowd, waving him on to third base. After the dust settled, the A's would move ahead 3-1. To the sixth we go. Lopez looking to finish the inning to end a much better showing, but it would end on a bit of a sour note while still preserving one of his better starts of this season. Adley Rutschman would smash a solo home run to center to narrow the A's lead to 3-2 and would spell the end of Lopez's night, who would give way to Justin Sterner. Lopez in this one went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Battle of the bullpens from there as we move to the eighth, where Jacob Wilson would come through with an important RBI single to increase the score to 4-2. Why was that important? Because in the ninth, Jack Perkins on to close this one out. Samuel Basayo would rip an RBI single with 2 outs to bring the score within 4-3. On would come Hogan Harris. After a walk to Taveras to move the tying run to second and the winning run on first, Harris would bear down to strike out the final hitter and nail down the save. For the A's, it would go Lopez to Sterner to Kunal to Perkins to Harris, who locked down his second save of the year. Ball game over. A's take game 1 this past Friday night, 4-3. So I feel they were better with runners in scoring position, 3 for 9 in this one, but still left some ducks on the pond, in my opinion. And they had some opportunities to break through even further against Bradish, I thought, but they kind of left him off the hook. And you can almost say the same thing about the Orioles against Lopez as well. We feel Lopez continuing. He's showing signs of improvement, again, with the 5 1/3, only the 2 walks, the 5 Ks. That's a better ratio, but you can see a consistent trend that continues to rear its ugly head. It seems like magic this year that as soon as the flip switches to that 6th inning, he significantly runs out of gas. So I wonder if that's something where they have to look at continuing to develop his endurance through games, perhaps monitoring a bit more earlier in the game to help change a little bit of the patterns. That's just something that I've seen from the eye test. I don't know if that's something that's truly, if you break it down with the statistics, that holds true. But like I said with Lopez, I feel like he's slowly but surely cutting down the walks. And there was much more conviction with Lopez in this one, trying to get ahead of hitters. He was much more successful in that. In fact, he threw a first pitch strike to 17 out of the 21 hitters that he faced. Typically, that's going to leave you in a position to be successful unless the hitters you're going up against grind out at-bats, get you into more hitter-friendly counts or whatever the case may be. But that is definitely some encouraging signs there from Lopez in this one. Would love to see him work a little bit deeper into these starts to take a little bit pressure off the bullpen. But nevertheless, we will take this as compared to what we've seen earlier in the year. Kurtz, he has a 2-run triple in this one as part of a 2-hit night, and Wilson a 2-out RBI single as part of his 2-hit day. The rest of the offense, however, wasn't really too present. 4 for 27 in this one with a walk and 12 strikeouts. The supporting cast is going to be, we need to be more consistent. And I know included in that one is a Shane Langoliers, who is off to a terrific start. So obviously when I'm saying that, I'm not talking about him individually. But there are a lot of guys that are off to some tough starts, but coming through at different moments. So just looking to put a consistent product forward so that we really could see this offense hit that full gear that we know that they are capable of. It just seems a little bit disjointed, and I know there have been some moving parts due to some injuries in the infield, and we're seeing some new guys come up and go down. I understand there's some moving parts, but nevertheless, we're looking forward to seeing when this is a truly well-oiled machine. I feel like they're scratching the surface of it. But nevertheless, it's always good to get a win. Nervous time there in the ninth, but Hogan Harris nailed it down for the second save. Great job by the bullpen hanging in there in a tighter situation. That Jacob Wilson RBI single in the eighth really proved dividends. It was the difference in this one, and good to see the A's start off this 3-game set down in Baltimore on the right note. Friday night victory left the A's with an opportunity to take the series in Baltimore on Saturday, as Aaron Savali would be getting the ball for the green and gold going up against Shane Baz. The A's would get the scoring started in the first in this one. After a leadoff double by Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers would deliver an RBI single to grab the early 1-0 lead in the first frame. On to the third we go. The A's would add 3 more off the thunderous bat of Brent Rooker, who smashed a 3-run homer to right field. Rooks cooks one up, his 5th of the year, to give the A's now a 4-0 lead. In the 5th, the A's would tack on another to their lead via a Shea Langolier sacrifice fly to increase the A's advantage to 5-0. Notice we didn't have anything to say up until this point about the Orioles offense due to Aaron Savali pitching that brilliantly. He went 5 innings in this one, 6 hits allowed, no runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks. We will have to fast forward this one to the 8th with the A's still ahead 5-0. The 2-out rally would be on for the O's. After the first 2 batters were retired, Tavares would single and Beavers doubled to set the Orioles up for 2 on in scoring position and 2 outs. Colton Cowser would come through with a 2-run single off Mark Leiter Jr. to cut the lead to 5-2. In the 9th, Colby Thomas would bring home an insurance run via an RBI single to grow the lead up to 6-2. On would come Joel Kuhnel to close this one out. Not a safe situation, but gets the job done, getting 3 consecutive ground outs to preserve the victory. For the A's, it went Savali to Harris to Barlow to Leiter Jr. to Kuhnel. Ball game over. A's win 6-2 and secure the series victory against the Orioles. So much better showing from the offense in this one. And again, this is going to be another eye test observation. This offense seems to struggle in that first game as a collective, especially on the road if they're going from town to town. And I know this time the travel between Philadelphia and Baltimore isn't significant as compared to some of the other ground this team has traveled, but it does seem like it takes this team a day to get adjusted into the new city, and then they get rolling from there. But the offense was much better in this one. They go 11 for 37 as a collective, 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And they had 4 multi-hit performances in this one. Again, Nick Kurtz went 2 for 4. Langoliers, he goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs in this one. Rooker really looking to come all the way back from his injury list stint and really find his footing in this 2026 season. The swings have been looking much better. He goes 2 for 4 in this one. He hit that thunderous Oppo homer in this one. Very important, a 3-run shot. And then Colby Thomas added a 2 for 2 performance with an RBI, respectfully. Aaron Savali, he just flat out continues to be money. And in fact, if he keeps up this pace, he may be looked upon as the best free agent signing in terms of perhaps not the top free agent prizes, but the ones where you find guys that can help. Those middle-level contracts, and this one is a 1-year, $6 million. It's going to show how many dividends it truly has paid. He's been their most consistent starter. Through 8 starts now, he's 4-1 with a 2.59 ERA, best in the staff. At the time of the recording, it's the 19th best ERA in all of baseball of all qualified pitchers. 13 walks allowed against 33 strikeouts, a 1.39 whip. Can't ask much more than that. That's probably even more than the A's had envisioned. He's providing veteran stability in that rotation, and he's getting the job done, giving the A's an opportunity to win the ball game every time he toes the rubber every 5th day. So wanted to shout him out. This was an impressive 5 shutout innings. He pitched around some traffic. The Orioles, maybe not necessarily the strongest team as a collective, but as a lineup, they can certainly hit it to all parts of the field. And I think Savali did a good job keeping them at bay. On the more negative side of things in terms of pitching performance, Mark Leiter Jr., he's just continuing to get burned with 2 outs, it seems like. He seems to do a good job of getting those first 2 hitters out to keep those leadoff threats off the base paths. And then I don't know if it's just running into some bad luck or if there's a mental relaxation that goes on that allows the opposition back into the inning, but it's been just kind of a glaring theme where Leiter Jr. does seem to get burned with 2 outs this year early on. 2 outs with 2 more runs come in allowed in this 8th inning with the ERA now at 8.6 for the year. So that's something to keep an eye on if he's going to continue to be used in these back-end situations or if we're going to see him perhaps be used in the lower leverage role until he finds his magic formula, whatever the case may be. It's just been off from the start this year. He definitely has shown some glimpses of who he was turning into with the Cubs and the Yankees, but so far there's been, unfortunately, more bad than good. Looking forward to seeing if he can turn it around. So, At this point, the A's have secured the series victory. Job well done. Much more convincing fashion in this one. Exciting to see the A's continue to win series early and remain atop the division. That's what we love to see. And let's see if they can keep the good times rolling. Like we mentioned, they win another series, and now they flip the page to Sunday in hopes of completing the series sweep with a wonderful pitching matchup that we were treated to. Happy Sevy Day to all who celebrate, as Luis Severino would be getting the ball for the A's going up against former A Chris Bassitt. The A's would get the scoring started, however, again in this one, as Carlos Cortez would bring home Tyler Soderstrom in the second via the sac fly to grab the early 1-0 lead. In the third, the Orioles would tie the game 1-1 via an RBI infield single by Gunnar Henderson, which would bring home Dylan Beavers. Sevy and Bassitt put on a clinic in this one as the pitching duel was on. Bassitt being a bit more dominant while Sevy pitched through some traffic with mixed command. We wouldn't have any more scoring until the bottom of the sixth. The Orioles would grab the lead in this inning, their first lead, in fact, of this series, as Dylan Beavers would deliver an RBI single as they're now ahead 2-1. And with that, that would signal the end of Severino's day after a 102-pitch effort. Sevy went 5 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 2 runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks. On would come Sterner, who, after allowing a walk, would strike out 2 batters to end the inning and escape any further damage. Chris Bassitt was a tough nut for the A's to crack in this one, as he pitched brilliantly through 7, only allowing the 1 run back in the second. Luis Medina had a strong showing after 9 days off, pitching the following 2 innings and striking out 4. The A's couldn't rally back in this one, as Rico Garcia would come on and get Zach Geloff to pop out to short, leaving Lawrence Butler stranded on base, who walked with 2 outs in the ninth as the potential tying run. Ball game over. Orioles win this one 2-1 to avoid being swept. A's come out of the weekend 21-19 and off another series victory, still atop the American League West. So Sevy was strong in this one. He was basically matching Bassitt toe for toe in this one. Especially, they didn't really clip him until that 6th inning. That first one was a little bit of tough luck. Gunnar Henderson grounds that infield single, finds the right spot to bring home that run. And aside from that, I thought Sevy pitched rather well. Again, still a little bit concerning with the walks. I think his command was a little bit mixed, which is where you saw a little bit more of that elevated pitch count, which is why he couldn't pitch deeper into that game. But in the process, he does lower his season ERA to 4.07 and continues again to show better performances away from Sutter Health Park as compared to vice versa. So we're hoping eventually that he finds some sort of middle ground where he can put up some quality and versus not, as compared to just seemingly running into that one crooked number inning that really inflates that home performance, because outside of a couple innings at Sutter Health, the innings around it have looked a lot better. But still, to this day, Sevy seems a lot more comfortable pitching in these road ballparks. So did everything he could to give his team an opportunity to win this pitcher's duel. It wasn't in the cards, but sometimes you just got to tip your cap, and I think that's what happened on this one. It's hard to sweep anyone, and especially on the road, it's hard to complete a series sweep. And they were stood in the way by a former A, Chris Bassitt, who had perhaps his best performance of the season and was keeping these A's hitters off bounce off day. Sometimes you run into a pitcher with a hot hand. It's not always going to go to your way. I know I've been a bit hard on this A's offense at times, but I think I could be realistic and look at Sunday that even with their best effort, I think what Bassitt was providing was going to be tough for a lot of lineups to figure out on that day. A's offense only managed 4 hits in this one, 4 walks against 10 strikeouts, and they were 1 for 5 in runners in scoring position. So wasn't going to get it done, but nevertheless, they ran into a tough competitor in Bassitt. It's not how you want the series to end, but you can at least know you can head on back home, and they enjoy the off day yesterday knowing that they completed another series road victory. So Bassitt, he was a former A, like we mentioned, from 2015 to 2021. Over his A's career, he pitched in an even 100 games, 88 of those being starts, pitching to a 30-24 record with a 3.44 ERA. Across 526 innings pitched, allowed 166 walks, 583 strikeouts, and a 1.19 whip. So definitely was not the A's day, and no pun intended, against the tough right-hander in Bassa, who I believe works with 6 or 7 different pitches. He had them all working, had the A's offense really scratching their head at times. And despite all of that, there were a couple opportunities where it just felt like if one ball bounced their way as compared to it not, they would have had an opportunity to be on the other side of this one-run loss. But all in all, a pretty successful end to the road trip. Tough one to lose, had it right there, but still ended the East Coast road trip 2 out of 3 to end, and even 3 out of 3 after their visits between Philly and Baltimore. And unfortunately, in the Sunday rubber match, like we mentioned at the top of the show, Jacob Wilson, he sprained his left shoulder attempting to make a diving play. He apparently got an MRI yesterday. We haven't heard any updates. The latest that I had heard, the team attended a charity event that was being hosted by the Tyler Soderstrom Foundation, so appreciate what they do with their charitable endeavors. But there were photos of Wilson in attendance, and he was in a sling in that left arm. So it's safe to say that he's going to land on the injured list. At this point, we're just awaiting the update to see for how long, because you could survive it in the short term, I would say, but then it may leave some question marks the longer and longer he's away from the team. So hopefully he has a quick return to action. Jay Willie was really heating up with the bat. He'll be sorely missed, but looking forward to seeing, hopefully, that we receive similar news that the Tigers got yesterday, where Skubal isn't going to miss as much time as initially feared. Hopefully we get the same news about Jacob Wilson. But before we get to that Jacob Wilson update, and just to talk about a little bit further and some potential replacements and things like that, we're going to hand out our 3 stars from the Orioles series. So our third star, we are giving it to Brent Rooker for his 3-for-11 performance in the series. But his 3-run home run, he had a home run, 3 RBIs, and had 2 walks throughout. That big 3-run home run was a big component in their Saturday victory, which helped lead the A's to secure the series victory. Second star, also the star, perhaps another star performer from Saturday's game, Aaron Savali gets A's Day second star from the series. Again, he went 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 6 Ks. His pivotal start led to this A's series victory and continues to be the A's most consistent starter in 2026 thus far with his sub-3 ERA. Job well done to Savali. And our first star, our A's Day top performer from this past weekend, we're giving it to the Big Amish, Nick Kurtz. He goes 4 for 13 in this series. He had 2 multi-hit games, 2 doubles, a triple, and 2 RBIs. The 2-run triple was a pivotal moment and led the offensive surge to narrowly win that 1-run game. And I think that gave the A's the first lead of the game for them, and they never looked back from there. And that's a wrap on our Baltimore Orioles series recap. The A's enjoyed the Monday off day yesterday to recover, and now they look to set their sights on the St. Louis Cardinals. But before they do, there are a couple things the team has to deal with. One positive and one negative, unfortunately. We'll start with the negative news so we get on a more positive note before we transition into our St. Louis Cardinals preview. So, like we mentioned at the tail end of the recap, Jacob Wilson suffered a left shoulder sprain. He exited the 5th inning in Sunday's 2-1 loss at Camden Yards while trying to field Gunnar Henderson's infield single. Manager Mark Kotsay didn't immediately have a timetable yet for the 24-year-old former first-round draft pick who was wearing a sling on his left arm in the clubhouse postgame. And like we mentioned, he was still in that sling at the charity event yesterday. Definitely not the sights you want to see. Wilson tracked Henderson's ground ball up the middle, laying out a full stretch to glove it in the shallow outfield grass behind second base. He had no play regardless, but Wilson immediately grimaced in pain while corralling the grounder, and once to his feet appeared to be favoring something on his left upper body. Kotsay and team medical personnel paid a visit before deciding to lift him for Dal Hernandez in a straight swap. Wilson's early exit continued a tough series for the 24-year-old. In Saturday's 6-2 win, he did go 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts in a performance that halted a 12-game hitting streak. On the first 2 strikeouts, he used up both of the A's ABS challenges on called third strikes that were both upheld. An all-star last year, Wilson is batting .292 with 3 home runs and 19 RBIs this season. So, tough blow. Love the effort from Jacob Wilson, and it's just, obviously, the competitor in you is never going to slow down at any point. There are obviously, when you're looking from afar, it's like, why overexert your body to that extent, knowing that you're most likely not going to have a play based on the placement of the ball and the speed of the hitter, that the chances of you making that play are slim to none. But that's not Wilson's mindset. That's not the way he plays the game, and that's why he's beloved by A's Nation and baseball fans everywhere. Because he knows one speed. It's hustle, playing every inning, every game like it's his last, and doing everything he can to help the team win. The fact that he even got to that ball was amazing in itself. But you could see the overexertion that he needed to get to that baseball, I feel, which led to the injury with the left shoulder. And we're still awaiting the official diagnosis. I know he underwent MRI imaging yesterday, and you wonder if it's a straight-up left shoulder sprain, if it's the AC joint, wondering how severe of the sprain it is. Perhaps him being in the sling is just a precaution, but I would say prepare for the worst, hope for the and hope for the best. I don't know, whatever the expression is. Trying to be positive, but the initial signs don't look good. And with that injury, maybe it's a month or two. Just all speculation here. Hopefully it's something where he just simply landed on it the wrong way. Maybe he's out a couple weeks and he's back in action. But I can say, nevertheless, he's going to hit the injured list. They'll initially put him on the 10-day IL. And then we're going to have to see how the A's are going to navigate from there. I know my mind kind of went to some creative places with this, but I don't think all of those hypotheticals are within the realm of reality. So what do they do now? Who are some potential defensive replacements in his absence? Well, the easy one, which we saw happen in the game on Sunday, typically it's most likely going to be a straight swap where you're going to rely on Darryl Hernandez to step in to play everyday shortstop for Wilson. He's taken over the role before and has had success when playing shortstop in the past. However, Hernandez has struggled offensively this season thus far, batting .208 with a .311 on base. But I will say that you do see when Hernandez gets more regular at-bats that I feel his production upticks. So perhaps he could be the product of that once again this year. I do feel if you get more into a rhythm, you have a better opportunity to show more of the player that you are. And I feel like early on, Hernandez wasn't getting as many opportunities as we saw last year, and just to the amount of bodies that they did have available in the infield. But now Max Muncy's on the injured list. Jacob Wilson most likely is headed to the injured list. There's opening up some spots in that infield, perhaps. That's why you are going to see Darryl Hernandez shift to shortstop. Now, there's going to be some other changes of positioning that we're going to see more of a regularity in Wilson's absence, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Some other infield options that they may have. There is the 27-year-old Drew Swift down at AAA Las Vegas, who has been playing shortstop for the club and is batting .281 with 15 RBIs and 114 at-bats this season thus far. His 258 innings at shortstop with a .972 fielding percentage certainly making him an option to at least consider. It would be his MLB debut. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Leo DeVries, pump the brakes. That's where my mind went initially, but I think it's a hypothetical and a conversation that we would have on a different show. And I think we'll have a bit more clarity based on Jacob Wilson's timeline. Now, we're hoping for the best, and hopefully it's just a couple weeks, few weeks, maybe a month, and then he'll be back in the swing of things. If for whatever reason that Jacob Wilson was going to miss a significant portion of more time, Is it the worst situation to put him in? If they still want DeVries to get more AAA at-bats, then that's not even a conversation to have. I think if DeVries continues to show his success in the minor leagues over the course of this year, perhaps you'll see him more in the July-August timeline. But it's just a hypothetical. Because when you want to bring up a prospect, you want them to stay, get settled, and give them some time to succeed. You don't want to bring especially a top prospect, you don't want to bring someone up like that, bring them up for a week or two, and then send them right back down. That could send the wrong message. You don't know what the conversations are had behind the scenes. Even if you sit someone down and say, hey, you're going to be here for this duration of time until the start of your position returns, and then you're going to return to the minor leagues, that could put so much unnecessary pressure on a prospect that they feel they need to perform to stay, to change the manager's mind, whatever the case may be. But if this was an injury where it could be an extended period of time, this could be a good lane to bring him up, to give DeVries 2 months an opportunity to adjust to Major League style pitching, because that's what we've seen in his career trajectory so far. He takes a couple weeks to get adjusted to the new level of pitching, and then once he makes his adjustments, he really soars and takes off. So again, I'm saying this, I'm being very clear, this is a hypothetical, but keep an eye on the timeline of Jacob Wilson's return. If it's something that we're seeing it leak more into the middle of the summer, why not get creative? Because we're going to talk about how the A's are getting creative in a more positive way in a second here. But before we get to that, just want to wish Jacob Wilson the best in his health and recovery. Hopefully we see him back playing shortstop every day sooner rather than later. It's a tough blow. He was really starting to look like the Jay Willie of last year. The production was returning. The at-bats were better. He was swinging with more conviction, knowing and feeling more comfortable all throughout the zone. And again, it is so early in the season that it's going to take time for guys to get back into the flow of things and to find their comfort. And then once they get to that certain point, then you see their talent truly take over. But we hope Jacob Wilson gets back healthy, would get well soon, and can't wait to see him back there in the middle top of the order, playing stellar defensive shortstop for the green and gold. But now let's get to the positive news. The Athletics are calling up outfielder prospect. Yes, that's right. The moment we've all been waiting for, Henry Bolte. He's not currently on the 40-man roster, but the A's do have a vacancy there, so they'll only need to make a corresponding 26-man roster move when they formally select Bolte's contract later today. A 2022 second-round draft pick, Bolte is the hottest hitting prospect in baseball at the moment. He recently rattled off hits in 12 consecutive plate appearances and is sitting on a 348, 418 on base, and a 658 slugging slash line, which is good for a 157 WRC plus, with 12 home runs, 7 doubles, 3 triples, 17 steals in 19 attempts, a 9.6% walk rate, and a 22% strikeout rate in 177 AAA plate appearances. He's averaging 90.4 miles per hour off the bat to go along with a strong 43% hard hit rate. If you haven't been keeping tabs, across 3 games, Bolte went 12 for 12 at one point against St. Paul Saints from May 7th to the 9th. During the streak, he had 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 4 doubles, and a triple. He's on fire. This is not a bad time to bring up a hot hitter. And talk about a guy not only knocking down that door, but beating it down and disintegrating it and giving the team no choice but to bring you up to the major league level. I mean, what else do you have to do at that point? If you're getting hits in 12 straight at-bats, to me, you can hit anywhere. And why wouldn't the Major League Club, a team that seems to be looking to find its consistent footing offensively, bring in one of your top prospects? He's sizzling. He's on fire. And he gives another dynamic to this team to make them perhaps even more dangerous. Another stolen base threat. This team doesn't really steal bases. Bolte does. He brings that athleticism that is going to give this team perhaps more chances with runners in scoring position. Now they're going to have to cash them in without a doubt. But Bolte provides multi-level tools to move this A's club further and further away from being that three true outcome type offense. I'm very excited that once this news broke yesterday and we went right to work researching on what he's done, how is he going to fit into this team? Well, to me, and what we mentioned while we were talking about Jacob Wilson's injury, where we talked about some options for position for who's going to fill in regularly at short. But now what is this defensive alignment going to look like? Well, to me, I think it fits. It lines up perfectly here. Zach Geloff has been playing pretty much the majority of reps in center field in Denzel Clark's absence, who he's also currently on the injured list. Zach Geloff is by trade an infielder. So perhaps with the injury to Max Muncy at third base, Geloff more than likely is going to be the everyday third baseman for the time being. So you slot in Geloff at third. Now, center field, go get him, kid. That's Henry Bolte. And I know that the outfield crew on this roster is pretty deep. In fact, someone may end up being the odd man out on this squad. And if I had to guess, it may be Colby Thomas, who may be heading back to AAA, depending on how they are going to navigate this roster construction. Because you're going to have to think that Soderstrom and Butler are going to continue to get everyday reps at the corner spots. And you're not going to send down Carlos Cortez, who has been one of your best hitters early on, who's hitting .353 in early action. So to me, if you're going to move one guy out of that spot, unfortunately, I would say Thomas probably get an option back to AAA. Had been swinging it a bit better, but not yet at the level that this A's club is hoping at the major league level. Here, I'm very excited to see what Bolte can bring to this club and perhaps really spark things right off the jump in front of the home crowd against the Cardinals, where he's set to make his debut later tonight. Now, I did have a hypothetical here, and I'm sure the crowd may be here with me when they hear this. I know we were talking about what's most likely going to happen, but hear me out. Something, and it's not just this guy. There have been other guys that are struggling offensively. But my worry is that it's no longer a slump when, and you want to chalk it up to sometimes lack of performance due to injury. That's fine. We said that last year about this guy. And yeah, he sure enough needed to have a knee procedure done after the season. Had a little bit of a late start to spring training, but definitely feel like he's got enough at-bats to be able to transition into the rigors of the MLB regular season. And at the time of recording, we just haven't seen him turn back into that player that we saw in the second half of 2024. I'm talking about Lawrence Butler. Here's my hypothetical. Maybe send him down for a month. You know, I was talking about how this team is going to be pretty crowded in the outfield room. Lawrence Butler still looks a little bit in between on some of those swings. And I know, to be fair, his hard hit percentage has been higher. It's just over 48%. And he's averaging over 90 miles per hour off the bat of exit velo. So perhaps some of that BABIP, he's running into some tough luck. So you got to think there's going to be some regression where you see him return to the form that we were accustomed to seeing. But I'm just simply saying this could be a good reset for someone like Butler. Because we saw this before. In 2024, he first came up, struggled mightily. They sent him down for a month, came back and had one of the best second halves in all baseball in 2024. I think he hit 20 home runs post All-Star break or somewhere around there. He went off for 2 months. It was crazy, which led him to get this contract extension. But we haven't seen that same player since. The expectations were lofty last year, and he fell well short. He'll tell you that himself. And you chalk it up to the knee, that's fine. But we're still seeing that chase that's there. The strikeout rate is still alarming. There hasn't been enough of that willingness to go to the opposite field that we saw him display last year. He shows it at times, but it's not consistent enough. And Butler is someone that we appreciate. He plays with pure passion for the game. He wears his heart on his sleeve, though. And you can see right now when he's going through it, man, it really drains him. And that's a shame because Butler is someone that should be one of the more electrifying players in baseball. He's someone that's well revered on that team, someone that's the heart and soul of the team, part of it. And it's a shame to see him continue to go through these ongoing struggles. So when I say this in terms of a demotion, I'm not pointing at him singularly saying that he's the only problem with the offense not performing consistently as of yet this year. But I just think it could be for his benefit. Now, I'm not saying anything for an extended period of time. I'm saying 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes you got to go back to move forward once again. And that's okay. That happens to so many different guys at different points in their professional careers. This is not a knock on him by any means. This is for me wanting to continue to root for him, but also let him have that joy again and passion of the game. I haven't seen him be that joyous, smiling clubhouse guy that we saw the second half of 2024 and at times last year. A lot of times the struggles just seem to be really weighing on him thus far. And it's sad to see because I know he has the tools to be one of the game's better corner outfielders. I know it's in there. I know him being a future all-star, it's within his grasp, but he's just got to put it together. And he's not there at the moment. So I don't know if it's a mechanical thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing. But if it's a mental thing, and sometimes if you just need to see some balls go through the hoop, why not go take a trip down to AAA Las Vegas, which is known as a very hitter-friendly stadium, a very hitter-friendly league, just to see some good results, hit some ball out of the ballpark, fine-tune his mechanics with the guys that helped him along his way before. I'm just saying, I don't think it's going to happen unless these struggles get worse. But, I mean, at the point right now, I mean, he's hitting 179, a 278 on base, and a 282 slugging percentage. That's just not good enough for someone that's playing every single day. I think he's got 4 home runs on the year. That's not good enough. It's just flat out not. And I like I said, this is a hypothetical, and I don't know how long they'll keep letting this go on. I don't know if these are the discussions that have been had already. And I'm sure A's Nation, you're hearing me out on this one. By season's end, I want Lawrence Butler ripping the ball all over the ballpark and being a big reason why this team is going back to the postseason for the first time in 2020. But right now, with how he's performing, he's not the guy that we signed that extension to. So that's just my thoughts. Sound off on social media if you want to connect further. If you think I'm right, wrong, or somewhere in between, but love to hear it nonetheless. But to cap that, again, if you didn't hear the news yesterday, if you were enjoying the off day away from the A's, just like the players were, it was announced that one of their top prospects, Henry Bolte, is going to he got the call up yesterday, and is going to be making his major league debut tonight in West Sacramento against the St. Louis Cardinals. Most likely, I think he'll be in center field. Looking forward to hopefully seeing him collect his first major league hit. Best of luck to the hot-hitting Bolte. This episode is brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms, supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities, including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workspaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you're attending an event, planning a meeting, exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment, cultural attractions, or checking out an A's game, our downtown location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full-service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. All right, let's get to the back half of our show. Like we mentioned before, the latest East Coast road trip concluded with a 3-3 record as the A's are now back home later tonight in West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park for a 3-game set to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals come in with a 23-17 record. They are led by manager Ali Marmol. In their last series down in San Diego, they split the 4-game set. They won the first 2 by scores of 2-1 and 6-0 before San Diego stormed back for the 4-game split, 4-2 and 3-2, ending with a Manny Machado walk-off sacrifice fly. On the year thus far, here's how the Cardinals have performed thus far. As a team, they're batting .239, which is 17th in baseball. They've hit 45 home runs, which is tied for 11th. They've scored 184 runs, which is 10th. They've walked 141 times, which is 19th. And they've struck out 330 times, which is tied for 15th, or right around league average. And they've hit to a .716 OPS, which is 10th in baseball. On the mound, they've pitched it to a .431 ERA, which is 19th in baseball. They've walked 144 batters, which is 18th. And they've struck out 278 batters, which is the least amount of any pitching staff in the league. They've pitched to a .137 whip, which is tied for 21st. And defensively, they fielded at a .987 defensive fielding percentage, which was 12th. And they've made 19 errors, which was tied for 14th in baseball. The A's, and I'm going to say this until they are surpassed, still have made the least amount of errors in baseball. They've only made 8, I believe, thus far. Here are how the Cardinals project in terms of their starting lineup. Of course, there could be some interchangeable parts, but these are the guys that have been getting the bulk of their regular at-bats as of late. Leading off in second baseman, their exciting rookie, J.J. Weatherholt. Batting second, the designated hitter, Ivan Herrera, who will also see some action behind the dish. At first base, batting third, Alec Burleson. Batting fourth, the right fielder, Jordan Walker. Batting fifth, over at third base, Nolan Gorman. Batting sixth, the shortstop, Mason Wynn. Batting seventh, the center fielder, Nathan Church. Batting eighth, the left fielder, Tyler Sagasi. And batting ninth, the catcher, Pedro Paez. Now, let's take a look at when we can experience this 3-game set with some first pitch times and some starting pitching matchups. So, like we mentioned tonight, we'll kick off the 3-game set. If you're not listening on today's date, it is Tuesday, the first game of this 3-game set, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Andre Palante will be getting the ball for the Cardinals going up against Jeffrey Springs. Tomorrow, Game 2 is also a night game, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Matthew Liberatore getting the ball for the Redbirds, going up against JT Ginn. And then Thursday, the Game 3 rubber match in this one, a 12:05 p.m. Pacific time start. Michael McGreevy getting the ball for the Cardinals, going up against Jacob Lopez. Now let's get to know these Cardinals starting pitchers that this A's offense will have to go up against. They will be first going up against Andre Palante later tonight. He is a right-handed pitcher, and thus far in the year, he's made 7 starts, 3-3 with a 4.34 ERA, and 37 in the third innings pitched. He's walked 16 batters, struck out 29, and pitched to a 1.36 whip. In his last start, they lost at Milwaukee. He went 6 innings. He allowed 8 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. His fastball in the air averages 94.7 miles an hour, and he works with a 5-pitch mix: a fastball, slider, sinker, curveball, and splinter. Palante has established himself as a reliable ground ball heavy number 5 starter for the St. Louis Cardinals, bouncing back from a difficult 2025 to post a much more respectable ERA through his first 7. He serves as a veteran presence in a rebuilding rotation, relying on a mid-90s fastball with cutting action and a solid slider. He uses the cutter fastball combo mainly, a high spin rate curveball, and a slider that registered a 33.8% whiff rate in the early 2026 ongoing. He relies on inducing weak contact and ground balls, aided by strong defensive positioning. While improved, he still faces inconsistency in command, leading to roughly 7 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.31 to 1.37 whip range early in the season. While there was talk of moving him to the bullpen early due to his 2025 struggles and a high-effort plunge delivery, his early 2026 form has secured him a rotation spot. He is viewed as a durable, volume-based starter for the rebuilding Cardinals, who are off to a strong start thus far. He has worked to a 54.7% ground ball rate thus far, which ranks in the 89th percentile of all qualified pitchers. So definitely the Cardinals are glad that will be toeing the rubber in West Sacramento, which is a very hitter-friendly haven. So his key to success will be keeping the ball on the ground. And for the A's, we'll try to be elevating him and celebrating to get him out of that game sooner rather than later. The Cardinals' Game 2 starter will be left-handed pitcher Matthew Liberatore. And thus far in the year, he's made 8 starts. He's pitched to his 2-1 record with a 4.07 ERA. In 42 innings pitched, he's allowed 16 walks, 29 strikeouts, and a 1.43 whip. In his last start at San Diego, he got the win. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 6 Ks. His fastball thus far has averaged 94.4 miles an hour, and he works with an extensive 7-pitch mix: a fastball, slider, changeup, curveball, sinker, cutter, and split. He has established himself as a high-floor, volume-based starting pitcher, often starting the season as the team's top rotation option. After struggling with a high workload in 2024, he demonstrated stability last year by throwing 151 2/3 innings, and scouts noted improved, more mature approach to managing high-leverage situation in early 2026. His arsenal features an above-average fastball with excellent extension, a plus curveball with 12-6 downer action, a deceptive change, and a developing slider. He has an excellent ability to repeat his delivery with his tall 6'5" frame, high spin rates, and significant improvements to his walk rate, 6.2% in early 2026. Evaluators view him as a solid number 3-4 starter rather than a top-tier ace, but a vital part of this Cardinals' young rotation thus far. Early on this year, he has been noted for his improved, intentional, and competitive mindset with more consistent command, leading a young Cardinals staff. And as for the Game 3 starter, will be Michael McGreevy. He's made 8 starts thus far, 3-2 with a 2.18 ERA. In 45 1/3 innings pitched, he's walked 10 batters, struck out 33, and has pitched to a .86 whip. His fastball thus far has averaged 90.9 miles an hour on the year, and he also works with a 7-pitch mix: a fastball, changeup, sinker, cutter, curveball, sweeper, and slider. McGreevy has emerged as a high-floor, mid-rotation starter for the Cardinals, characterized by elite command and a diverse 7-pitch mix. Despite a fastball that sits in the bottom 5 percentile for velocity, he has maintained a stellar ERA and whip through his first 8 starts of the season. His success is built on being a quote-unquote pitching nerd approach, prioritizing movement and sequencing over raw power. McGreevy utilizes a savvy arsenal. In a standout performance against the Padres in early May, his sinker showed 15 inches of horizontal break, while his changeup reached 16 inches, both significantly increases over his season averages. He remains a control artist, ranking in the 85th percentile for walk rate at 6% and the 93rd percentile for limited free bases. He is known for filling up the strike zone and staying poised even after allowing home runs. He excels at generating weak contact, sporting a 48% ground ball rate. This high ground ball frequency provides a steady floor for a Cardinals defense focused on efficiency. Despite his surface success, advanced metrics suggest potential regression. His expected ERA sits at 5.08, nearly 3 runs higher than his actual ERA, indicating he may be outperforming his underlying stuff. So we will have to see how it all goes, but that is a look at how the A's are going to who the A's are going to navigate throughout this 3-game series in terms of their starting pitchers. Now, let's see how some of the A's hitters have performed in the past against at least 2 of the Cardinal starters, because the A's have never faced McGreevy. So against Pallant, McNeil is 1 for 7, and Jonah Heim is 1 for 2. And against Matthew Liberatore, Brent Rooker lifetime is 3 for 5 with a double, and Zach Geloff is 3 for 5 with a double as well, and Shea Langeliers is 2 for 6 lifetime. All right, before we get on out of here, we are going to make a couple of predictions. We are going to make our A's Day official home run prediction. We are going to select Zach Geloff. That's right. We feel he is in a great place, a great mindset. We're starting to see the Zach Geloff from 2023 return. He seems a lot more comfortable with his feet underneath him. He's going to be He's basically going to be getting everyday reps for the foreseeable future, and this is the player we envision him being as compared to what we saw him battling some injuries over the last 2 years. So very happy for Geloff. We're at a point we want to take, and we feel he's going to hit at least 1 home run in this series. I do feel he's going to hit a home run off of Liberatore, but feel it can come at any point as well. And in terms of our series prediction, we are going to say the A's are going to start a new series streak. They're going to win 2 series in a row, as we feel they are going to protect their home park, and they're going to take 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. We feel they are going to win tonight 5-2 before dropping tomorrow's game 6-3 and storming back. We feel will be a back and forth offensive day game affair that the A's will come out ahead 8-6. Hope you all enjoy the A's action. Again, first pitch tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss it. Get on out to the ballpark if you can and check out the new prospect in town, Henry Bolte, set to make his Major League debut, most likely in center field tonight. Be sure to check it out. We'll be sure to be watching from here on the telly. And with that brings us to the conclusion of another edition of A's Day. Hope you enjoyed our show today as we recapped what went down over the weekend in their series victory against the Orioles, before providing a couple of updates and our thoughts on Jacob Wilson's injury that he suffered yesterday, as well as the exciting news of Henry Bolte getting the call-up yesterday and is set to make his Major League debut later tonight against the Cardinals. And speaking of those Cardinals, we provided a series preview as the A's and St. Louis Cardinals will be commencing a 3-game series starting tonight in West Sacramento. We'll be back behind the mic for Friday's show as we will recap what goes down in this 3-game series against the Cards, as well as previewing the Battle of the Bay. This edition will be in West Sacramento, as we will do our San Francisco Giants weekend series preview, and then we'll keep you up to speed with any news going on around A's Nation. That's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Thank you for stopping by to hearing our thoughts on athletics baseball. We appreciate and cherish the opportunity to talk about the happenings of this young, ascending, exciting team. They're still in first place. Let's see if they can sit atop the division for the long haul. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the return to A's baseball tonight, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. We'll see you right here, back behind the mic for Friday's show. Until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.